From our Chicago studios, this is the Muslim News on Muslim Network TV. Assalamu alaikum, I'm Samana Siddiqui. Our top story tonight. In the run-up to the election, Donald Trump is ahead in 5 out of 7 critical battleground states, according to polling averages. The race remains tight in the first 3 states, with margins close enough to be within a typical polling error of 3.5 points, making both a Trump or Biden victory feasible. In the remaining 4 states, Trump holds larger leads, but the competition remains fierce. A recent study by the Washington Post and Schar School reveals voters in these pivotal states trust Trump more than Biden to handle threats to democracy. Among swing state voters, 44% preferred Trump to protect democracy, compared to 33% for Biden. Additionally, nearly 3/4 of what are described as deciders believe Trump would not accept election results if defeated, with concerns about potential authoritarian tendencies if he wins. The findings come ahead of the upcoming 2024 presidential debate this week, setting the stage for a critical rematch election in November. Senator Bernie Sanders on Wednesday responded to the defeat of pro-Palestine Representative Jamal Bowman, on whom pro-Israel groups spent record-breaking sums to oust in a Democratic primary in New York this week. Sanders condemned the 2010 Supreme Court decision Citizens United versus Federal Election Commission that allowed private interests like wealthy Americans, corporations, and political action committees to have greater influence over elections. Sanders is calling instead for a public campaign finance system. Outside groups, mainly super political action committees or PACs, poured in more than $17 million to oust Bowman and less than $3 million to help him. This benefited his pro-Israel challenger, George Latimer, who won the primary with approximately 58% of the vote to Bowman's 42%. In specific, progressive politicians and activists are decrying the role of the American Israel Public Affairs Committee, or AIPAC. The powerful lobby paid more than $14 million for ads that either supported Latimer or attacked Bowman. It is the most ever spent on a U.S. House of Representatives race by a non-party affiliated group. Sanders is calling for a reversal of what he says is a disastrous Citizens United decision and said buying elections is not freedom of speech. He added that it is an outrage and an insult to democracy that we maintained a corrupt campaign finance system which allows billionaire-funded super PACs to buy elections. Harvard's task forces combating anti-Semitism and anti-Muslim bias have asked the university to address pervasive discrimination against both Jewish and Muslim students on campus. They have highlighted concerns over a culture of exclusion towards supporters of Palestine and Israel, giving examples of harassment and intimidation. Harvard's interim president, Alan Garber, has announced plans to review and implement short-term recommendations to remedy the situation. The move comes amid ongoing criticism over the university's handling of bias on campus. The task forces conducted extensive consultations, which found fears among Arab and Muslim students and staff, along with a climate of intolerance toward pro-Palestine sentiments. The report also calls for Harvard to condemn all forms of discrimination and improve efforts for inclusivity. It recommends establishing a visiting professorship in Palestinian studies, auditing academic resources on the Middle East and Palestine, and creating a prayer space for Muslims on campus. Israeli strikes have killed 47 Palestinians and injured 52 others in the last 24 hours, the Palestinian Health Ministry reports. Israeli military strikes targeted residential areas in Gaza City's Sabra and Shujaiya neighborhoods, resulting in 8 fatalities, according to Wafa news agencies. Israeli tanks have entered Shujaiya, causing chaos as residents flee. In the Jabalia refugee camp, 6 people were killed in an Israeli attack, as confirmed by medical sources to Wafa. Fighter jets struck several homes in western Rafah and set buildings ablaze in the Brazil neighborhood, eyewitnesses report. Following these attacks, multiple casualties were taken to the Gaza European Hospital near Khan Yunis. Also in Khan Yunis, Anadolu news agency reports that Israeli jets have targeted a school sheltering displaced Palestinians, leading to additional fatalities. Another child died of malnutrition in northern Gaza's Kamal Adwan hospital, raising the child death toll from malnutrition and dehydration to 31. In the occupied West Bank city of Jenin, an Israeli soldier was killed and 17 others wounded in a blast, Al Jazeera Arabic reports. Israel has killed at least 37,765 Palestinians and wounded 86,429 in Gaza since October. It has been accused of genocide at the International Court of Justice, which has ordered an immediate halt to operations in Rafah. A Courage in Journalism award granted to Gaza-based Palestinian journalist Maha Hosseini has been revoked by the International Women's Media Foundation, or IWMF. The decision follows accusations by the conservative Washington Free Beacon website that Hosseini had previously endorsed terrorist actions and shared anti-Semitic content on social media. The IWMF says these posts contradict their organizational values of integrity and opposition to intolerance. Hosseini, who has been recognized for her reporting in the region, defended her social media comments. She said they are reflections of life under Israeli occupation and support for resistance efforts. She also criticized the foundation's decision. In a statement on X, she wrote, "Each announcement of an award to a Palestinian journalist is systematically followed by extensive smearing campaigns and intense pressure on the awarding organizations from supporters of the Israeli occupation and the Zionist lobby. While some organizations uphold their principles and maintain their decision, others regrettably cave to the pressure and withdraw the prizes." The move by IWMF sparked widespread criticism among journalists and media groups who condemned what they called a targeted campaign against Hosseini. Lebanon's Mufti and Maronite Patriarch have urged Muslims and Christians to pray for peace during upcoming religious services. Following a meeting at the Maronite Patriarchate, Patriarch Bishara Boutros al-Rahi emphasized the significance of prayer in ending conflicts. The gathering, attended by leaders from various faiths and political figures, aimed to promote unity amidst regional tensions. While Shia representatives were absent, leaders affirmed solidarity with Palestinians in Gaza and southern Lebanon. Mufti Abdul Latif Darian announced plans to dedicate Friday's sermon to supporting the oppressed in these areas. Cardinal Pietro Parolin highlighted Lebanon's coexistence model and urged cooperation to address political challenges. The initiative seeks to harness religious influence for peace amid escalating regional concerns. The worldwide rise in sea level driven by climate change poses a severe threat to essential infrastructure in U.S. coastal communities. That's according to a new report by the Union of Concerned Scientists. It highlights that nearly 90 million people depend on critical facilities like schools, hospitals, and energy infrastructure, which are increasingly vulnerable to flooding. By 2030, a 20% rise in at-risk infrastructure is expected compared to 2020 levels. The report outlines scenarios where rising seas could expose over 1,600 assets to disruptive flooding twice yearly by 2050. The report's authors stress that communities, especially those that have been historically disadvantaged, face disproportionate risks. Report co-author Erica Spanger notes that even if the homes stay dry, disruptive flooding of vital infrastructure could leave people essentially stranded within their communities. Urgent science-based actions are urged to protect these vital lifelines and ensure coastal resilience for the future. UN report reveals shocking rise in violations against children in conflict. Details after the break, so stay tuned and we'll be right back. Welcome back. A new report by the UN documents nearly 33,000 grave violations against over 22,500 children last year. Briefing the Security Council, former UN Chief Ban Ki-moon condemned the escalating atrocities against children in global conflicts. Ban also criticized the 21% surge in grave violations against children in 2023, including a 35% increase in killings and injuries. He highlighted over 8,000 verified violations affecting thousands of Palestinian and Israeli children, stressing the urgent need to end impunity for such crimes. Ban has urged member states to prioritize child protection, emphasizing that historical judgment awaits those who fail to act. The U.S. has imposed sanctions on nearly 50 entities and individuals. They are accused of facilitating billions of dollars for Iran's military, with the Treasury Department labeling them a shadow banking network. The groups and individuals allegedly enabled Iran to access global financial systems and process significant funds over the last 4 years. The funds were reportedly used to support Iran's proxy groups. These include Yemen's Houthi rebels. They were also used to transfer drones to Russia for use in Ukraine. Britain's highest court has permitted a British Muslim leader to pursue a libel action against the Secretary of State for the Home, James Cleverly. Chaudhry Moinuddin is a British citizen of Bangladeshi heritage. The case involves allegations made by the Home Office in 2019. These were in relation to Muinuddin's alleged involvement in war crimes during Bangladesh's 1971 independence war. Muinuddin, who has been a UK citizen since 1984 and is known for his public and charitable roles, strongly denies these claims. He has called them politically motivated and will proceed with his case to clear his name. Observers say it will be a legal battle of significant international interest. The Supreme Court overturned a lower court's decisions to dismiss the claim, citing it as an abuse of process. Lord Reed, delivering the judgment, emphasized the gravity of the allegations. He highlighted the severe implications of such accusations by the government against its citizens. Muinuddin has served as Secretary General of the Council of Mosques in the UK and Deputy Director of the Islamic Foundation. A cholera outbreak is devastating Afghanistan following recent floods and a crumbling healthcare system. Over 47,000 Afghans have been infected this year alone, with at least 25 deaths reported. The World Health Organization highlights Afghanistan's highest global cholera cases in 2024, which have become worse due to natural disasters and healthcare deficiencies. Dr. Faridullah Omari from Kabul's National Infectious Disease Hospital attributes the outbreak to poor hygiene and contaminated water sources, worsened by recent floods destroying infrastructure and medical supplies. As well, with dwindling cholera vaccine supplies and international aid cuts since the Taliban began its rule almost 3 years ago, Afghanistan's healthcare system struggles to cope. The crisis underscores urgent needs for clean water access and healthcare support amidst ongoing challenges. Human rights activists have condemned organizers of the international soccer competition Euro 2024, which began on June 14th. This is for accepting sponsorship from Chinese firms implicated in using forced labor by Uyghurs. Companies like BYD and Alibaba have been accused of exploiting Uyghur labor or aiding in their surveillance, displaying advertisements throughout the tournament. The Australian Strategic Policy Institute has reported on the involvement of these companies in using Uyghur labor. Alibaba's cloud services reportedly include facial recognition capabilities that target Uyghurs. Over the last 7 years, China has rounded up an estimated 1.8 million Uyghurs in occupied eastern Turkestan, which is officially known as Xinjiang. They have been transferred to concentration camps where they have been forced to work on nearby farms and factories. The International Monetary Fund, or IMF, has released its AI Preparedness Index. The AIPI maps the world's readiness for artificial intelligence and evaluates the level of AI preparedness of 174 countries. Among other measures, the AIPI dashboard tracks them based on their digital infrastructure, human capital, labor policies, innovation, and financial agency. The IMF warns that while AI can increase productivity, boost economic growth, and raise incomes, it could also wipe out millions of jobs and widen inequality. The financial agency said wealthier economies tend to be better equipped for AI adoption compared to low-income countries. It also notes that most emerging market economies and low-income countries have smaller shares of high-skilled jobs than advanced economies, and so will likely be less affected. That's all from our Chicago studios tonight. Thank you for tuning in. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell icon for the latest updates. Your support is needed now more than ever to continue our mission of providing informative, educational, and inspiring content to Muslims in North America and around the world. Donate now by visiting muslimnetwork.tv/donate. For more content, keep watching Muslim Network TV or visit muslimnetwork.tv. Salam and good night.